Hi friends. So last week I was sitting in bed on a Saturday morning trying to avoid all the day that was waiting for me. And I picked up a book off of the stack of library books that often take up the other half of my bed, and I'm reading this book about making art incidentally when a little scrap of paper fell out. It was a to-do list. Some standards like laundry and therapy and research AC units. They had accomplished Tinder, apparently. And I was like, yes, the art. Here is a piece of it. I don't know what about it I found so beautiful. Maybe it was the little abstract printed symbol on the notepaper, or the way that this person's handwriting mimicked its swoops and curls. Maybe it was how the person so carefully separated each task with a line, giving each one its own space to be contained in. Maybe it was because it was kind of like looking at an alternate universe version of me, placing me out of myself into the tiny private life of a stranger. Someone else who also likes the beach and also goes to therapy and also, and this is the wildest part, attends the same niche underrated dance class that I do. Like, I wondered if I've seen them before on the subway to Rockaway Beach, or going through the rotating door at the library, or shaking their heart out next to me at dance class. And I wondered if they even realized that they lost this. It kind of feels like holding one of those ancient Sumerian tablets that kept records of like grain transactions. Those earliest written records that we're so fascinated with, that managed to tell us so much about how people lived, even though they may have never intentionally set their stories to paper. Because it's possible that in time, the most important marks that we leave, the ones by which we will all be understood, aren't these massive historical epics or declarations or manifestos. It'll just be tiny scraps of paper we left lying around to say, I was here, I was here, I was here. So I taped this little found piece of paper in my notebook, like a cosmic trade for an artifact that I lost. I keep these journals, right? They're home to the first draft of every vlog that I write, as well as notes from work meetings, grocery lists, favorite lines from books I'm reading, and some ugly doodles of spirals and bats. I keep them all on a shelf in my closet, and they are absolutely the first thing I would save in a fire, but one of them is missing, and I'm still upset about it. In 2017, when I was a YouTube Creators for Change Fellow, I went and filmed a video in the YouTube space in New York. I was interviewing my friend and mentor, Jess Morales-Roquetto, about activism and community organizing, and I had spent days working on my questions and prepping for the interview, eventually neatly writing a list of questions in a half-full journal. When we set up the shot, I realized my notebook showed in the frame, so I tucked it behind a pillow on the couch, and I never touched it again. I realized it was gone before the day was over, but I called that night, and the next day, and the next day, and it never turned up. But probably somebody found it and maybe flipped through my anxious and desperate diary entries, maybe skimmed over my interview questions, or most likely just chucked it directly into the trash without opening it. And I kind of hoped for a long time that the latter happened, feeling mortified that they might have read about how overdramatically miserable I was at the time, but one person's thought garbage is another's art. There's this poem I love called Under One Small Star, and it's by, I hope I'm saying this right, Wisława Szymborska, that I think commits the feeling well to paper. It has lines like, my apologies to time, for all the world I overlook each second. My apologies to the felled tree for the table's four legs. My apologies to great questions for small answers. All of us show up here aspiring to do great things, be great people, but kind of like community organizing, I guess, thematically enough, we accomplish things best with the help of so many other people, while we all individually live these mundane, tiny little lives, littered with scraps of trash. Go to the beach, make dinner, take a dance class, try to fix something, screw something up, research air conditioning units, show up for someone, love and be loved. In the comments, tell me what's on your to-do list. If you like this video, there's a couple ways you can support me. One is by clicking the notification bell so that you find all my future videos. And the other is by supporting me on Patreon. where you can get a peek into some of my journals and help me make more of these videos. All right, I'll see you soon.